Hello and welcome as it is the 11th day of June 2019. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like, well, that's obviously within each his own risk and your own reward. And in this video, we'll take a look at Bitcoin, multiple time frames, switch gears over to Litecoin, talk about XBY, and then wallets. And that is the agenda for this video. Start off with the monthly, and amongst such, we have had just a lot of sideways action really from like in here. So since it broke above in August of 2017, it's now been 22 months of a range between 3,000 and 20. And price action getting below the 18 average of lows after an extended time where it was correcting within a rising, then flattening, then barely declining 18 average, which is now the barely declining is starting to flatten as price action not resisting the lows, not resisting the highs, getting above it, albeit barely, in the month of May, so far 11 days into the month of June. Very low volatile, not so much down, just 9.1%. And that's literally true, just 9.1% down. Because you had this tiny one here of 7, this tiny one of 7.5. Albeit you had this big one here of 32. Back in January, it lost 27. And that's just, of course, the nature amongst its volatility. And within this 18 average going sideways until it has a clear break above or below here. It is a sideways move from the last tremendous up move. On the weekly chart, price action remains well extended above the 18 average band after a nice breakout from the start of the spring. We did have a decent sized down week last week with a move of 12.6% down, but still not enough to come back into here. And just a matter of fact that it wasn't resisting this level, as it was both bullish and bearish to do so. And it's even more bullish not to. It had liftoff support there in the month of May. Will we have comeback support there? Question mark, maybe, but that's most certainly the area if it goes any further that I would be considering. This is major intermediate term, depending on how you want to classify it, short, intermediate term, that's your choice. But amongst this time frame, that's where that big correctionary move is supporting where you were supposed to resist, because if resistance is not there, I'm looking for that to be support on breakouts, and we've had the breakout coinciding, of course. This lower end is right now where the 18 average of close not shown would be about, considering the line is halfway between the highs and the lows. So this general area, of course, would most certainly meet up with the 18 if it's going to do it. Resistance has most certainly been established. Will be easier to see as we go to shorter time frames at that 9,000 level. But amongst the daily term time frame, amongst this move, what I've been trying to figure out, and I still don't know the answer to this yet, is if this 2 day down move from June the 3rd and June the 4th, when it was down the 7 and 5% collect or within the 2 day period, if this is going to be that of establishing a attempt to revert the trend, or is it going to resist amongst this 18, or are we going to hold and stay above it? Because when I say I want to see a market hold and stay above a particular area, that means it technically, like if I like, yeah, it's saying here, I want to hold and stay above like 79 low change. Well, it's resisting it right now, but it can go down a little bit more. But if it just does this, then we're going to get the sideways action, the 18 average, which is now declining at a small amount. If it doesn't go down further, we'll most certainly start to flatten out all of this neutralization. And if it's able to hold in this, then obviously if it's can trade within this band, which means get up to 82, then that would be holding and staying above that. But we've had this support hit on June the 4th. It's hit again on June the 6th. It hit on June the 9th, and it looks like it's approaching that area again. The more often that you attempt a level of support, the more likely it is that it is taken out. And amongst the single term time frame or the 4 hour time frame, just multiple hits, one, two, three, and it's in here. You can make a case for a head and shoulders pattern as well, as we have the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. But however you look at it, the neckline and support is massive. And that's in this area here at about 75. And 75 just coincidentally happens to be that where the volume weighted average price for Bitcoin is since the 2017 highs. It's a very, very interesting level. So if we go back to the weekly term time frame again, it's not a straight line, but over the last several many days, it has been pretty much flat. As this moving average of the VWAP is right at that 75. So we'll put it right in this level here. Again, we're not instantly resisting it. It's staying within this area. And this to me is where the battle zone really is. So above 7,500, small bias to the bull side within battle zone. And the lower end, of course, of it would be in towards like 66. So even really for that matter, like 7,200 would be like a middle zone of this range. But at the volume weighted average price, if you stabilize like this, you're able to get above it. Those are signs of okay, we're now making a statement of a pure reversal, which would indicate oftentimes big volatile moves. Usually, you do find levels of resistance. All there has been there long term is just a little bit. But in situations when you come up to a big level where you're supposed to resist, nothing wrong at all with a pullback. And if a pullback happens and it's successful, which means it comes to where it came from, or even in here, this little general area here, and then you start to see momentum bringing it back higher again. That's when the setups become large, the probability odds for big gains also do so in turn. So back to this, we're going to complete this on the short-term time frame. Of course, the 4 hour I was mentioning, just this big little area at the level piercing below 7,600, and really the entire 7,500 range, we'll call it. The entire 75 handle, I should say, from 75 to 76 is that big, big area. And after this down move that occurred on the 6 o'clock session, we had this big rally which went through time. It had its chance to break out at 1920 hours. It didn't do it. And several times within the correctionary phase, but of course it left it here. Since then, it's just went sideways, so there hasn't been any major rallies to bring it back to, at least not yet, to its key previous level, which is around 79.30. As this level of support was broken, when that's the case, I look for that as resistance on the next way up. Price action did go down to where it came from, which is a level of support in here. And now the battle zone. This is support, this is resistance, and it's already broken. Interestingly enough, just noticing this as it is, and I want to see this on two different, or all of them actually. What's up with this current period going down below this line and coming back? That's an interesting statement. I want to see what this looks like on other exchanges. So on Coinbase, oh, even more so there. And on Bitfinex, pretty much the same. And given that Coinbase has a better short-term chart or better volume, and it shows more of this move, I'm going to look at it from here for the hourly time frame and shorter. Okay, so what's up with this move? Question mark. I ask, and now let's take a look. So there's where that possible failed breakdown occurs. It's right in this candle here on the 15. As it manages to break down below. And then this fast move into the congestion area. It's really important when you look at this. It hasn't gotten out of the woods by any means yet. It's still in the declining 18. It's still at this level of resistance. And it really does need to get above it for, and it's a real statement that it wants to revert this trend. So I don't get too optimistic at this point, but this failed breakdown on the short term would be something I would have to take very serious right now as a possibility. I got two shorter term time frames I can take a look at, which becomes very important in trying to figure out how this moves play. We can see these lower highs in a row. So it has at least has to get above 78 to even consider there to be a realistic chance that this thing can pop back up and going again. Obviously, the must hold area is always these higher lows. But when it broke this level of resistance here, I would have been like, okay, needs to hold here. It held and stayed above it. But this resisted a lower high, and then it broke it down below. Lower high, significant break. So still at the lower high, but it practically is matching A very good rally from this point. Now let's see if I can make sense of this within the 1 minute term time frame. And it does show a lot more of the clearer image because there's that big down move, which means we're supposed to resist where we came from. We can see that this level of support at 77.57, and I want to take a look at a few more periods. Even yeah, from here from 77.54 really up to about 77.69 and upwards at a high level to 77.80. It's even gotten above that. So for this move to have that lower high resistance level, that's the range I'd be looking for, which was again 77.50 up to uh, really where it is now, because that matches this support, that matches this support at noon, and it's actually congesting there right now and getting above this, of course, double line here. Very, very, very short term. It looks like this could be ready to go. That's going to be very crucial in the next few minutes, of course. Just using this as an example, you can look back and see how this played out if you wish. That if there's any type of correctionary moves back in here, and in that, it would be ready to go. But even just for 4 minutes, how it's going sideways and doing what it's doing now, this thing looks ready to go. And for what it's worth, 1 hour time frame, oh, it means maybe we'll come up and finally test this level of resistance somewhere around here. Wow, 11 minutes on this. I was planning on spending more time on Bitcoin than anything else. So let's just quickly go over Litecoin, which is a much, much, much different setup. This is the hourly time frame and a very, very strong setup, and I like how it's supporting its key level of resistance on the 4 hour term time frame. I mean, it's a tale of two coins. It really, really is, and this is looking extremely bullish. And I see, even though we're at this key Fibonacci level, I like how I don't see any major volume in here. Let me just, I know this is a tether, so it's probably best for me to do it this way. Let's take a look at Litecoin against US on a bigger volume. Okay, so I don't see any blow off top big rally volumes here. That's something I like to look for on tops. And so I see this volume here. I'd like to see volume come up to where the number, I know it's not what it is, but where you see the 24, up to about here, like double, triple this volume on the top. But because of the fact that we've had the last couple weeks sideways congesting like this, and to me it just looks like the break of this resistance isn't completed yet, and we should go at least a little ways up. Maybe not quite to 190, but I would think that should be at least a favorite. But even just a little more, even to like the 150s area. And of course, when these things go, they can go just fantastic. And when we take a look at Litecoin against that of BTC, 166 now. I'm still in that ratio. This is a new move. What's going on in the 5? Yeah, that's just a powerful, powerful setup. So Litecoin's kicking ass. That's good to see. That's my highest holding. And we're coming up close to this level of resistance. Anything like Fibonacci I should be checking out, I think. Let's just do a quick research on this number here. Alrighty, we got 1904 and 1111. 1110. As if it matters on those anyway. So the 61.8 is 1549, the 76.4 is 1676. Okay. How did the other one act? 1364. That's a top right there. So I'm looking at that to see the validity of that third. This is huge. It's not resisting 61.8. It's supposed to. It's supposed to be resisting a 1549 handle. And it's just breaking, 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 breaking past it. This thing has got the potential to fly big. Let's hope it does. All right, that's that. Let's next take a look at XBY. I talked about it a bit before, and well, a lot before, but I did mention the last time about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago amongst this chart. It's down to 64. It's getting its ass kicked, and there's really no tangible reason right now that it should be going higher, unfortunately. But when we take a look at this on a 12-hour time frame, I'm just gonna go like this to get the entire amount of periods. I just keep on scrolling back until that, and then I'll just do one more. So this is its entire chart, and we can see that. Well, let's go over the timelines of things because as we were ending 2018, like all the cryptos, everything's in a downtrend, and then January 14th. This was just traded only on really on Cryptopia, so they had a monopoly on the trade. Anybody who had coins on there, they have had no access to them ever since, and it's going to be months before they will again. And that's the thing right there. That okay, if that's the case, that's just bad news for the market in itself. But back when this started in like early February, the idea was okay. Well, Cryptopia is going to be a few months. Okay, March, April, May, you get your coins back, even if it's June, July, and everything's good. Okay, that's fine. And now, if people are, and the only way you can trade this is if you happen to have the coins on your wallets. If you're on Cryptopia, there's no way of accessing those coins. So that brought a very interesting dynamic to this mix. That there's a lot of quote unquote traders or participants, so people who have supply, want supply, who are no longer going to be able to be in this market. And the key thing was the patents, as they were talking about, were supposed to be coming out into April. And a lot of this was buying up, and that's the hype that was going on. And for me, I was able to get in here. I end up getting out here and for a profit. But that's because, of course, on the buy low, sell high, having these opportunities. But these patents not coming out, it looks like they never will, as even the two developers apparently have taken off all references to their extra bytes on their things like their LinkedIn's and Twitters and profiles of that nature. So it's just a lot of bad news. And the Reddit community, as I've been reading over the last couple of weeks, has just been. They've come up with a lot of stuff. And given with everything that's going on, I don't think that this will probably. They might never even get over 100 again, as this is not in good shape. So you could get your coins back from Cryptopia. It's going to take months. If you do, this could be in bad shape by that point because, again, the patents coming out in April, if this was good and they had all that stuff and it would have came out with Cryptopia being locked, this thing would have started going higher. And then when Cryptopia, when you're able to get your coins back, at least if you are, then those would have had value, of course, will have value at the time if that's the case. But when we look at this as we go from May until well, the month of May, price action resisted about 176 and it had all the support in the low 100s, like 110, 111, 112 area. And well, I was noticing, well, obviously with the patents not coming out, who's going to be the people that are going to want to buy this? The order book was very, very scary at that time. And sure enough, it did exactly what I thought it would do. And then it had this significant decline. So now this area of support is what we're looking for in resistance. But when we look at things like these sell orders in here, we now have sell orders at 68. 69, 71, 73. So all of these lower sell orders are really flying through within this market. And before it was 100 that was support. And now we can see there's a decent sized amount. There's a point dozen. It cost to buy at the 90. Someone wants to sell 140,000 there. And even more so, at 100, someone wants to sell a half a million. And of course, the only people that can be selling these are those that have them in their wallets and those who bought them since the time this came on the exchange as well. As far as the buy orders are concerned, this was very scary before because these numbers has been as low as zero point 0.4 just a few days, but there are people looking to buy, but the big buys you got right here. Someone wants to buy a million at 50. That's a half a Bitcoin. And then you got a point 13 at 51. Then you got a point 10 at 52. A point 0.03 at 53. A point 0.04 worth at 55. And we're now talking like it's going to be taking close to a couple million just to bring it down to the 50 number. And of course, there's a lot of big buys even on the lower end. The one is starting to feel like just you got 7.5 million in buys there. I remember like months, weeks ago, I remember putting the one in. I was the only one that had it, or I was very microscopically small, and I only would have had it for a short period of time. And I don't have anything on this now because, again, I sold everything in here at about 110, 118, and I just am off this side. I just don't want to deal with these kinds of exchanges as it is. And 2.5% of my overall portfolio is actually on the exchanges. 97% and a half percent of my cryptos is on the and all these recent sells we can see just someone unloading really large 2300 hours UTC last night, and even just now we can see at 16 hours someone unloading 15,000 plus a bit more here and there. All right, now let's talk about wallets for a little bit. Because one of the things that I do is as I ratio trade, and this is where my portfolio is set right now. I've done a little bit of changing to it. I was in Vertcoin, but I got out of it. I'm going to put Vertcoin into groceries, literally. Uh, and Then I decided to add a few more. I added ARC, and I'm going to trade that with Theta. So I trade Bitcoin, and I got ARC on a wallet. Theta's on another wallet too, where I own the private keys. Places like Bitcoin Cash and DGB I could put on Trezor wallets and Litecoin as well. Stuff like Dash, that's amazing. Theta, you got your I got my own wallet there. I have none of those on exchanges. GRS, I have a little bit of GRS on the exchange. And I'm waiting to fill. I've already sold some GRS here. I'm going to try to make this trade here. I'm trying to get a buy order fill. I've already sold my GRS, trying to buy some DGB at the lower price. It should fill. And then Litecoin, like a lot of Theta's in here now too. I've added Ethereum Classic against Theta. All of my ETC are on coins are on the wallets. I mean, I have a little bit of Bitcoin Cash there, not much. I got a small amount of Dash available, not much. I got a small amount of Komodo on the exchange, again, not much. But it's either very little or none. And amongst wallets, let's just take a look at this here. Just a good idea when you're getting used to wallets and private keys. You got stuff like the Go chain. You search Go chain, find the wallet. Theta, search that, find the wallet. ICX, search the wallet. Ethereum Classic, where can you find it? And I'll show you the Atomic wallet, which can make things. A bunch of ones can go in there. But you find a wallet you choose, you verify that it's real, make sure it's part of their real website. Because the way I think of it, I could make a wallet where I could just make it look like it's a whatever thing, set up the algorithm so that it creates your public keys and private keys, but maybe set it up so that a private key gets logged to me. I don't know. I just want to make sure that I'm really confident that before I put any funds, that the wallet is secure. So what I like to do is first thing you're going to do when you get on the wallet is you're pretty much going to have to set up your private keys and passwords. Generally speaking, they're usually all about the same. You're going to get like so many words, 12, 20. Maybe you actually do get an actual private key for stuff like the Go coin. It's a private key. I log in with my private key. Plain and simple. That's it. Just one private key. I log in that way. But a lot of them, you need your words, which you're probably not going to look at much or ever again, and a password. So when you get in there, you probably need a password to log in. And just a lot of times they're optional, but for me, they're not optional. They're always there. So if I'm going to send funds, I want to make sure that it needs a password. And the private keys, if you lose your password, your private keys gets that all back. And the bottom part, we'll talk about that with the bottom line. But what I like to do is buy a small amount on the exchange and then send it. So you go to a wallet. Okay, you're in there, you set up your private keys, you set up your password, you got your public key on there, so now, okay, let's buy. What I like to do is, most exchanges like Binance and Bittrex, it's 100,000 Satoshi minimum bet, so I'll buy like 110,000, 115,000 Satoshi worth of the coin, send it all to the exchange, or not to the exchange, from the exchange to the wallet, see how long it takes to get there, take a look at things. Is it how long is the how long is the phases before you can send it back? Sometimes you get notification that the coins are there. It might take 5 minutes or whatever before you can send them back. And once you can send them back, that's what I like to do is send them back to the exchange. And then when you're doing that, see how long it takes to get to the exchange. Coins like Theta. You take that Theta wallet and you send coins from Theta, it's going to take under a minute maybe, about a minute from the time you send it from your wallet to the time you can actually trade it and do whatever you want with it on the Binance site. That is just magnificent. Even do things like log back off, log back in, just to see that your passwords are right and that it's all going to work. But another one is practice accessing the wallets with only the private key. So you go to it, you wrote it down, even put a little bit of coins in there, like $10 worth, $15 worth, and then you log in with such. Here's an example. This is the Atomic wallet. This is like the all-purpose kind of wallet. You have a lot of different coins in there. I could put my password in, but I can also restore from backup. See, this is where you would create a wallet, and within it, you'd write down your private keys and everything. I can put all my keys in here, and I've done this before, and all the funds come back in. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my password in, and it's with this you have to push Shift Insert to paste. There it is. And there's my wallet. So I got $750 worth of currencies on here. I don't know how this BitTorrent got there. It's like 15 cents worth. I don't remember ever sending it there. Gas I need just to have. I got 48 cents worth. It's just required just so I can send Neo. So Neo, it's like a small amount. These are like minimum bets. My Neo and Ethereum Classic at 181. I got to get more Neo actually. I'm a little short. I have a few Neo. I still got like 10 Neo actually on the exchange. I could easily take off on, but then you got different things in here. So there's the wallets. I've sent things back and forth. I got my public address in which I can do it. I can see, oh, if I want to send, say, I got 12,000 of these. If I want to send 1,500, it's going to cost me nothing, actually. I mean, the transaction fee says zero now. If I want to send Ethereum Classic, say I want to send, I got 22. If I want to send 3, it's going to cost me 0.001. It's an $8.27 coin. So if it cost me 1, it would be $8. If it cost me 0.1, it would be 80 cents. 0.01 would be 8 cents. So it cost me almost 1 penny, or a little over 1 Canadian penny, to actually send it off of here. And what I did earlier was I went on Binance just to see what the fees were, and they can vary to getting it off the exchange. So I want to avoid coins that have these higher fees and work on the ones that are cheaper, like say Bitcoin Diamond. I'm not playing it, but it's 1.4 cents to take off. I mean, I can handle that. So I sorted them in based on fee cost. So takeoff of Binance, gas and Neo cost you nothing. Go, which I play, barely cost anything at all, as well as Sia Coin, POA, Verge, Komodo, Steam, Waves, Via, Nexus, and so on and so forth. And those are the ones I like to focus on. Now, there's one interesting thing here that confuses me. As let's say, for example, um, that there's some coins on here, like, let's just see if I can find one. Like, definitely Ripple is one of them. See, Ripple. Okay, here's my address. Okay. Some coins you need like a destination thing too. Yet here, I mean, how am I supposed to even try sending it there? For amongst it, I have to have the address. I guess I could click on no tag. I suppose that's what I could do. And that's exactly what you would do to try. Okay, let me just send $10 worth if it doesn't go. And in fact, you can even send less because $10, that's like the minimum buy on Bitcoin. It's like $3 minimum buy, $4 minimum buy against Binance Coin. If it's got that ratio, I don't. But I guess that's what you would do. But anyway, yeah, that's yeah, just trying to figure things out. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.